All right, let's talk about one of Jim Harbaugh's guys, Mazi Smith, the defensive lineman out of Michigan, stands 6'3", 337 pounds. Gotta love his size. Typical defensive lineman, Big Ten defensive lineman. I think he's going to be a long-term starter. He's a good run stuffer guy, especially in the 3-4 defense. I think you'd like to see a little more production in the double teams. That's one of the small knocks that you hear from scouts around the NFL, although I do think it's a small one. I think you'd also like to see a little more tackles behind the line of scrimmage. But all that said, I think you're looking at a long-term starter in the NFL. Kind of reminds me of Dontari Poe, or maybe even a DJ Reader, the 2016 draft pick. But that's everything. Mazi Smith, the defensive lineman out of Michigan.
Luke Schoonmaker, tight end from the University of Michigan. This is an unbelievable giant of a man for the position. The best thing that he does is run block at the point, which is a rarity when you're looking at tight ends nowadays when they come out into the draft. He is a very good straight line speed athlete. He's a little tight getting into and out of his breaks as a route runner. He has a large catching radius, and he makes a huge target, not only in the red zone, but at the short and intermediate level for any quarterback in the NFL. I do question his deep speed and if he's going to be able to separate down the seam. He's not overly athletic after the catch, but this guy will carve out a role early in his career as a run blocker and also a reliable underneath zone type receiver. My comparison to him is Blake Bell.
Texas linebacker DeMarvion Overshown is a little bit of an undersized linebacker, measuring 6'3", 229 pounds. But he tested well athletically at the NFL Combine. Overshown ran the 40-yard dash in 4.56 seconds with a 1.59 second 10-yard split. Overshown is better served in space, being asked to cover or provide the occasional pass rush. And tackling form needs to improve, and reads are more reactionary than they are anticipatory. He will likely serve as a weak side linebacker with some nickel responsibilities at the next level. We have compared him to former Lions linebacker Ernie Sims.
Viliami Fihoko out of San Jose State at 6'4", 276 pounds, reminds me a lot of Deo Denbo and what he was able to do out there on the edge for Vanderbilt. When you think about what he brings to the table, he is someone that plays with that energy all throughout the game. So the first play is going to look like the 75th play out there on the edge. I love the way he plays a game. He plays every play as if it's his last. His footwork and hands are always in unison. However, he has to be a little bit more savvier in how he goes about his business as a pass rusher. Seems to be a little bit one-dimensional. Developing some pass rushing moves moving forward is where he can get better. DEUCE Vaughn out of Kansas State at 5'6", 175 pounds. Reminds me a lot of Darren Sproles, not because he played at Kansas State, not because he's an undersized running back, because he's someone that has elite level speed, quickness, and agility, and he has the ability to hit the home run wherever he is on the football field. So he does a lot of things rather well. Where he has to get better with any running back, it's in pass pro. Not because he doesn't know who to block, it's because he has to do a better job of getting himself in position with his footwork, his base, and his hands to consistently pick up the block. If he can improve there, you're looking at a guy that could be on the field for all three downs. Big fan of Miles Brooks's game out of Louisiana Tech at 6 feet, 201 pounds. Outstanding cornerback prospect. Does a really good job of playing the upfield shoulder of the receiver. He can really make it difficult for the receiver to find space down the field. He has good length and ability to work well at the line of scrimmage. He can press well and does a great job of making that receiver work at the snap. Now, on the other side of those things, he tends to get a little bit grabby closer to the top of the route. He's going to have to ease up on that as he moves forward. His speed is good, not great, so his explosiveness is a bit of a question mark. But overall, very solid cover corner. Reminds me a lot of Travarius Ford, who plays for Kansas City.
Oregon offensive lineman TJ Bass has a strong upper body as well as a thick lower body that allows him to absorb contact at the point of attack and create displacement in the run game. He has versatility, having played multiple positions, but lacks the overall athleticism, length, and speed to be more than an emergency option at offensive tackle. At the NFL Combine, he ran the 40-yard dash in 5.48 seconds with a 1.86 second 10-yard split. Lateral quickness is a concern, so he is destined for a power gap blocking scheme that is going to ask him to block less in space at the next level. He has some starter qualities in the right situation, but projects as more of a role player early in his career. We have compared him to former Browns offensive lineman Spencer DRANGO.
Jalen Marino Cropper out of Fresno State at 5'11", 171 pounds, is a tremendous receiver. Reminds me a lot of Lance Moore, one of those sneaky wide receivers that just finds his way open down the field. When you look at what he does on the field, big fan of how he runs his routes. He's a little savvy at the top of his route, able to create that separation, and he plays a lot tougher than his listed size at 171. But moving on to the pro game, things get a little bit more physical, so he's going to have to continue to increase his weight and his mass to help himself against those defenders that's going to try to bang him across the middle of the field, where he's likely going to be slotted as a slot receiver. Hunter Lukey at 6'1", 236 pounds from North Dakota State, home of the Bison with a Z. Folks will clown you if you don't use that Z in there properly, and he's someone that does a great job in all aspects of offense. He can catch, he can run, he can also block very well. Reminds me a lot, because of that complete game, of Tom Rathman going old school. Now, where he has to get better is that he dealt with some nagging injuries all throughout his career at North Dakota State. So you wonder about longevity. You hope that's something that he can move past as he makes a jump to the NFL level, because he's a tremendous prospect that can handle running duties, receiving duties, and also the lead blocker role for an offense.
Tyrus Wheat, Mississippi State edge defender, originally started his career playing at a community college and developed into one of the top junior college linebacker prospects in the country. Wheat finished his career at Mississippi State as a 3-year starter, ended up being second-team All-SEC selection. He's big, he's flexible. At 6'3", 263 pounds, he reminds me a lot of Zach Bond when he was coming out. He can rush the passer as well as drop into coverage, and he shows explosion rushing and taking on blocks. He's got a lot of position flexibility, which will be good for whatever team drafts him.
Isaiah Land at 6'3", 236 pounds from Florida A&M, the Rattler, former Defensive Player of the Year, did a great job in improving his weight as he moved forward through the process. Was 215 pounds at FAMU, got up to 225 at the Senior Bowl, and at the NFL Combine got up to 236, but didn't lose any athleticism and speed along the way. So he's someone that can really get off the ball quickly, find his way to the quarterback, and showed at the Senior Bowl that he has the wherewithal to play off-ball linebacker. Where he has to get better is improving his strength at the point of attack on a consistent basis. That could have been tied to the fact that he was 212 as opposed to 236, but he improved in the weight department. Let's see if he can improve at the point of attack as well.